My name is Geraghty. I'm a landscape photographer from Kildare in Ireland. I'm the youngest of two, of one sister. So the first time I got into photography was actually on advice from a friend. Went out for a couple of pints one night, just got into a bit of a chat. Just advised me. I was asking about hobbies. I was kind of feeling stuck in a rut, playing football. Wasn't really feeling it anymore, and literally gave me advice on buying a camera. Bought a camera and literally like the bug from there, and luckily now it's my business. My first camera was a Fujifilm XM1, a little mirrorless camera, a compact camera. Done the job. Didn't take me long to upgrade to something bigger and better. Has been the way of my photography ever since, is just upgrading. And it's an expensive hobby. I was lucky enough to be able to turn it into my job with the support of my parents and my partner. Now get to travel the world, photographing the most amazing landscapes in the world. Lucky enough to be able to come back to a country like Ireland, and obviously we have the Ireland's Ancient East, the Wild Atlantic Way, the Causeway Coast. So along with everywhere else in the world, it's always good to come back and get the feet on the ground and hit the road in Ireland as well. A couple of my favourite moments from travelling, especially obviously I do tours and workshops abroad in places like Iceland, Norway, the Isle of Skye in Scotland, and obviously Ireland as well. But the one thing that sticks out most to me is seeing people's faces. When the skies are clear, we get the first glimpse of the Northern Lights. It normally starts off slow, and generally 9 times out of 10 when we do get that display, it does turn into something pretty amazing. And to see people almost close to tears would almost bring a tear to your own eye because you're almost making their dreams come true. One of my favourite photos was from a recent trip, a recce trip for next year's tours in the Dolomites in Italy. We were approaching a lake called Lago dei Braies. I had a picture in my head what it was going to be like. Obviously wanted ideal conditions, wanted the lake to be calm, wanted boats to be on the end of the jetty. So on the recent trip to the Dolomites, I made sure myself and the two fellas got there well in time for sunrise. Luckily enough, not a breath of wind, lake was completely calm, boats were at the jetty, and it was probably my favourite moment this year in terms of the shot I kind of wanted to get in my head. If I was to be trapped on a desert island, assuming that there was unlimited food and water, I'd probably take a camera and a tripod. Reason being is because although cameras are great, shooting handheld, especially cameras nowadays, I feel most comfortable and I'm most confident when I do have a tripod around. But 95% of my photography is shot with a tripod. If I could smuggle on a couple of filters for long exposures, I'd do that. I wouldn't have very much patience in general, but when it comes to photography, there's always that little bit more. But astrophotography requires that little bit more because it's mostly standing around, obviously in the dark, not being able to see what you're actually shooting. But I got that patience, and it's literally like a whole different ball game in terms of it's like another photography bug. You've like a landscape bug and an astro bug, and literally I have the two of them. Absolutely love shooting astro. And Kerry, there's a dark sky reserve in Kerry, International Dark Sky Reserve, and down on the ring of Kerry around Cahersiveen, Waterville, Ballinskelligs is actually a gold medal dark sky reserve area, and it's the only gold medal dark sky reserve area in the whole of the Northern Hemisphere, and only one of 3 in the whole world. So the one photo that does jump out to me, actually, not just there, but in general for astrophotography, obviously the Milky Way, the galactic core, the Milky Way is the best. You know, it's the pinnacle of astrophotography, and that's what all astrophotographers want. So just on a recent tour in August in Kerry, literally happened to be staying right across from the kind of main beach in the Dark Sky Reserve where people shoot from to get the galactic core. Checking the weather, wasn't really too positive, but just so happened that peeked out the window and wasn't a cloud in the sky. Went out to the beach, the tide was going out, a little bit of water on the beach from the tide going out allowed me to get a bit of a reflection of the galactic core in the water, and that's probably the most standout moment of the year in terms of my astrophotography. not including the northern lights. In my spare time, obviously, I like to spend time with my partner, my family, my dog. Dog loves to come on hikes, but in general, if it was just free time with just me, would be out taking photos for myself and no pressure to kind of deliver for people. And yeah, it's pretty simple. This year's been a good year. I was asked to be an ambassador for Format High-Tech camera filters, a role in which I gladly accepted. Their filters are pretty amazing, and it's something I'm very proud to be. Every kind of photographer aspires to be an ambassador for some sort of company, be it tripods or camera filters or even cameras or lenses. So in that way I'm lucky, and in 2018 I have a couple of new projects and possible ambassador roles coming up with various different companies as well, so it's a year I'm really looking forward to. In terms of landscape photography, and this would come into play for astrophotography as well, and it's actually advice that I seen in a blog recently from a friend of mine, Darren Spoonley. He was doing an interview with another photographer, John Myler, and he gave great advice on basically learn mistakes shooting manual as opposed to shooting in any other mode. A lot of people, when they start photography, they can get very frustrated, especially because you know, you're starting photography, it can be very difficult. You can get frustrated, and it's easy to go with the easy settings, but you're not really learning. Then, you know, where if you're in manual mode, you're in complete control of the camera, and so learn your mistakes from shooting in manual. And an old saying that I was always taught by a teacher was, learn by doing, and it's pretty simple. Tripod's very important. You do get a lot of people who can buy cameras for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 euros, and they throw it on a little 50 euros tripod. And the way I always see it, I'd be very critical of people that come on tours just for their own sake. It's like basically putting a mansion on a bungalow foundation. Simple. My advice, kind of, if I was to go back and start again, or give advice to someone that's just bought a camera or that's thinking of buying a camera, it's a great pastime, it's a great hobby, it's a great job, it's good for everything, it's good for the head. But take constructive criticism well. A lot of people, including myself, have, you know, it's easy to take it the wrong way and think people are actually just criticising you. So just take it well and learn from your mistakes, learn from what experienced photographers are telling you, and it'll definitely help you in the long run.